Hi, welcome back to Coldstream Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. Welcome to episode 4 of the 32 Roadster Body Build. This episode we're going to cover putting the quarter panels together. So there's 2 quarter panels. There's 2 sections of the quarter panels we have to put together. The B pillar has to be attached. There's a sill that goes across the top of here. So the first step is going to be to weld the B pillar in. There's a bracket here that connects this sill piece that goes across the back. And then there's this piece here that's going to be mounted in there that ultimately the roof will be attached to. So I'm going to work my way doing this on these. Once this is all done, I'll show you how you put the drip rail. The drip rail will go in here in the back. And I'll have to, in order to put the drip rail in, I have to semi-mount the drip rail across the back, and as well as this panel here in order to square things up. What I'll do, like I said, I'll go through building both of these, and then we're going to attach them to the subframe on the 32 Roadster body. There's a little bit of work to do on this one, like on all the other previous parts. There's a couple of defects here. I'm going to have to make a little patch to go in here, and then it was over trimmed here as well where it goes onto the drip rail. So I'll start with welding these in place. I'll show you what I've done. I'll make the repairs here. I'll put the drip rail in and I'll do one side, then I'll do the second side, then we'll mount them on the subframe. Oh, and one thing with this one, this is going to be a challenge. I don't know if you can see it or not. Down here, this panel, I don't know what happened at Brookville or where it was transported from. It's got a whole bunch of little dings here. So the camera lady and I are more than likely going to have to set the camera up. We are going to put this on the English wheel, and I'm going to try and roll some of that stuff out. So we'll videotape that too, or we'll do our best to try and videotape it. But before I do this particular quarter panel, I'm going to have to fix that first. So follow along. So had a chance to get some work done here. I've welded the B pillar in place, the support tab, and then this reinforcing piece that goes underneath the back of the seat. Over here, you can see what I do is I'm going to take a drill. I think this is 3/16. Essentially, you saw the clamps in the previous picture, and the clamps like here. Essentially, drill a hole and then weld the hole up. So you're drilling all the way through the sheet metal into the B pillar and weld it up. And it's basically, we're doing like a spot weld because we don't have a spot weld machine here. If we did, it'd be a whole lot easier. And then later I'm going to come along here, I'm going to address any kind of raised material off the top of that. The next step is to put the drip rail on. And as I described, I had to put you need to put the back panel on and then position the drip rail across the center here. The drip rail on the side actually lines up right there with the back of this drip rail that goes under. So I'm going to do the same thing with the drip rail that goes for the trunk lid. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did on the B pillar. I'm going to come along here and I'm going to drill in between the clamps, drill like a 3/16 hole there and there, spot weld it. Then I'll keep going all the way along here until that's done. Then I will actually I have to drill. Come along the other side here, camera lady. I'm sorry. There's one more piece that has to go in. I'll tell you what I got to do. So there's 4 holes that hold this back of this back panel on. There's one that goes underneath the vice grip, one here, and one here. There's also this supporting bracket that we have to install. It will go, once I drill the holes, the 2 holes line up with these. So that'll go in place. These holes here, like they're meant for spot welds, they don't get welded in until after the body's all positioned and everything's in place, because this is another support piece for the back of the quarter panel. So I'm going to drill these holes, get this in place, tack weld this in place, tack weld all along here. I'll show you what I'm doing, and then I'll repeat the same process on the other side. Once I have both of the panels done, I'll start putting them on the sub rails. I carried on with putting the rear quarter panel together. As I said, I was going to spot weld, like drill and spot weld each one of these. So I put, I think, a 1/4 inch hole, well, it's clamped, drilled holes, and then I dressed the holes up. There was a defect here and when they cut it from Brookfield that I fixed. And then also down here in this corner, it was actually missing. So they had laser cut it off, and that's why it was a second. So that's all repaired here. So this was all fixed up. The panel is on. The support piece, like I said, I welded it on the top. I have my holes drilled for the panel that goes across like I'm supposed to. This is not welded in place on purpose. That will get welded in place when the whole body is squared up. The next step to putting this on was to position it on the body. So actually I'll get the camera lady to come over the other side. There's not a whole lot of room, real estate here these days. So what you do is basically get a block of wood, semi-position it in the back, when you're by yourself anyways, set it here, and then the B-pillar is pushed in against the subframe and clamped in place. The goal is basically to start with this bottom, position it so the bottom left-hand corner here is spaced just right. Once you have that this way, then you've got to work with tilting like the quarter panel up or down until you get an even gap here. Another problem to get the right gap, I mean, visually you want to get the right gap, but functionally you also have to get the right gap because of the catches here. Now when you get the catches from them, they're never finished, they're rough. So you've got to dress this side and you got to dress the back side. But at the same time, it has to fit up against the B-pillar. It can't be too tight, can't be too loose. So the gap has to be such that I can mount this on the B-pillar when I'm done, and then the door will open and shut right. So that's one side. I've got this welded on. I'm going to carry on. I'm going to do the driver's side. And when I do the driver's side, I'm actually going to attach this back panel at the same time. So when I tilt it up, I'll be able to actually clamp it in here and aid in the assembly of the driver's side quarter panel. Hi, so I'm not going to continue in this video in doing the other quarter panel. The main reason is I've realized that I have to fit the sub-rail extensions in, but I also need a bunch of sub-rail extensions for the other two projects we have next to us. They don't have them. So I'm going to make a separate video on making these sub-rails. Flying everywhere, sorry about that. So I'm going to make a bunch of these sub-rail extensions left and right for the 5 windows plus another project we have. So that's the end of this video right now. We'll carry on with a video on the sub-rail extensions, and then we will put the other quarter panel together for the 32 Roadster. Hope you enjoyed. Follow on for the next videos. Plenty more to come. Thanks.